Everyone saw the new toon reveal, but when I rewatched it, I noticed a detail that completely changes Brighton's scene. In the video that Quell posted, everything starts off super chill. Brighton is just organizing books normally, no rush, like it's just another common moment. Nothing feels unusual at first, and the scene feels calm and simple. But then, she looks at the floor, and that's when you see it. Torn pages everywhere, like something passed through there and made a mess. It doesn't look like an accident. It looks intentional, like someone was clearly interacting with the books before she even noticed. And that is exactly where the scene gets interesting. Among the books, the new toon appears, Squirm, simply eating a book like it's the most normal thing in the world. The first time you see it, it just looks like a fun intro. But when you stop to think about it, it doesn't feel like a random choice. Because yes, caterpillars eat leaves, which makes sense. But here, they aren't leaves. It's a book. And in games, books almost always represent knowledge, stories, or memory. So seeing pages being chewed up might just be a visual detail, or it could be a small clue about how he interacts with the world around him. What makes the moment even more interesting is Brighton's reaction. She doesn't overreact. She just looks surprised, like she's trying to understand what's happening, which makes the whole scene feel natural and curious instead of dramatic. It really reinforces the feeling that Squirm has this exploring energy, like he's discovering everything around him for the first time. But at the same time, it makes you think about something else. Because if his normal version feels curious and calm, his twisted version could go in a completely different direction, and that's where things could get really intense. If his theme is books, pages, and knowledge, a twisted version could turn that into pure chaos during matches. Imagine pages spreading everywhere, objects around the map being affected, and rounds feeling much harder whenever he appears. Instead of just exploring, his twisted form could feel overwhelming, like he's tearing through the environment and making everything harder to manage. Some players are even saying he could become one of those twisteds that completely changes how a round feels, forcing everyone to react quickly because of how strong his presence might be. Since many twisteds push a toon's main trait to the extreme, Squirm's idea could easily turn into a version that feels much more destructive and intense once it finally appears in Dandy's world. Recently, the community has been sharing a lot of theories about what Squirm could mean for the game. One idea that keeps coming up is that the book scene isn't just showing his personality. It could be hinting at how he might work during matches. Some players think he could be connected to interacting with objects or items, especially because his reveal focuses so much on him actually doing something instead of just appearing. Another theory people are talking about is the torn pages on the floor. Some fans think this could be a small hint that his presence might change situations in subtle ways during a round, creating unexpected moments that make gameplay feel different when he's around. There's also a lot of discussion about his twisted version. Since many twisted forms push a toon's main trait much further, players are really curious to see how Squirm's curious nature could be turned into something much more intense once it's revealed. Another detail a lot of people missed is how the vibe of the scene stays light the whole time, like it's just a small part of their daily routine. That makes the intro even more interesting because it feels like they're saving the bigger impact for later. It makes sense when we think about how reveals usually work, showing the simple side first before revealing something bigger in the future. In the end, it's a quick scene, but it's packed with small signs that something more interesting could be coming, especially when we think about how his twisted version might be presented later. So now the question is Squirm just going to be a curious toon exploring the world, or is his twisted form about to become one of the most iconic yet? If you love discovering secrets, theories, and news before anyone else, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Saya!